So first off, to open up our second half is writer, Bristol women's writer, Mothers, I found out from Twitter yesterday. Please put your hands together for Annie Bacon!
Mother and grandmother.
I'm way too young.
Legal. This is
This one is going back in time before the Vietnam War. It's either a slice of nostalgia or ancient history, depending on your age group. It's called Not the End of the World. Until that day in October, Fiona Rennie, a wispy girl with thin hair and freckles, was never at the centre of anything. In the playground, she lurked on the outskirts, or pretended to be in on a game. But now the thud of rubber balls on the smooth floor of the shed was stuttering to a halt. Skipping ropes were reeled in, and feet that had been hopping and jumping to senseless rhymes drifted to the corner next to the railings, where Fiona was assembling an audience. Carol and I hitched our bags on our shoulders and went to see what was going on. "The world's going to end today," Fiona said. "They're setting off the bomb at dinner time." I wanted to accuse her of making it up, but I'd heard about the bomb. My big sister had a badge on her blazer for banning it. So I held my tongue, but Ian Patterson wasn't going to let her off so easily. He folded his arms and cocked his chin. "Says who?" "My mum and dad. It's been on the news. It's because of Cuba." Even the scruffiest of the boys gave up jostling over football colours. Cuba was secret and scary, like the subs that nosed around Fast Lane. Like the Loch Ness Monster, a myth that might just be true. The bell rang and they scattered. In the line, I jogged Carol's arm. "Do you think she's right? Is the world going to end?" The odds, we thought, were against it. We'd never seen Fiona's mum and dad. What were the chances they knew something ours didn't? Later, we kicked our way home through the leaves in the park. On Carol's new Timex watch, it was 12:30. "It's nearly dinner time," she said. "What if they do drop a bomb?" Over the railway embankment, the Edinburgh train grumbled in and out of the station with only its usual trail of smoke. I examined the sky, a pearly autumn grey. "I think dinner time's later in America." "Is Cuba in America?" "I think so. I'll ask my dad," Carol said. Carol's dad was a mine of information, especially about the war. My dad had only been to Belgium. Hers had been to Italy and India and had taught us to count up to 10 in Urdu. "Maybe your dad's been to Cuba," I said, but we both knew this was unlikely, wherever it was. At home, I decided not to ask about the bomb. I didn't want to let on I knew less than Fiona Rennie. But I watched for any sign of things being different. At 1:20 exactly, Dad rolled up his napkin and said, "Time I was away," and left for work, same as always. After the 1 o'clock gang, Mum switched off the TV. "What about the news?" I said, "and the weather?" News was disposable, weather was sacrosanct. "Oh, I can't be bothered with it. The washing's already dried and in." Maybe weather didn't matter if the bomb was being dropped. I had to find out something, if only to report back to Carol. One was clearing away the plates to the scullery. When will it be dinner time in America? I said. She didn't look back at me. Well, New York is 5 hours behind, she said. I know that. That was a relief. 5 hours would take us to tea time, to doing reading and sums and getting ready for bed. Compared to death at dinner time, it felt like a long way off. If it was going to be our last ever bit of school, I would have liked art or spelling, but in the afternoon we had geography and we were doing Ceylon, which is part of India, and I was waiting for Carol to say she could speak Urdu when Ian Patterson stuck his hand in the air. Please, miss, is Cuba near Ceylon? A shocked wave rippled across the room. Miss Webster opened her mouth and closed again. And then the wooden pointer in her hand swung left. This is Cuba, she said, as if we'd been in the dark long enough. Mr. Kennedy and Mr. Khrushchev are arguing about it, but I'm sure they'll come to their senses. Another relief. And I was sure my mum and dad would have said the same. Further along the row, Fiona Ray was fidgeting as if she had an itchy back. Everybody was looking at her and she went red and started to cry. What's wrong, Fiona? Miss Webster said. Nothing. Well, pay attention, everybody. The pointer slithered back to the east. It was 3:30, and we were out of school, flying up the lane to get to the front of the queue in the sweetie shop, when the ground came up and hit me in the face. Oh! Was this the ball? I could hear footsteps and people bending over me. Is she all right? My bag, laden with 3 new reading books, was squashing me into a big pothole which hadn't been filled in since the previous winter. I managed to sit up and wipe gravel off my hands. Some of it was still stuck in my bare wrist. Hankies of various degrees of cleanliness were offered, and as I gulped out tears, my knee was a vile mess of black and red, and it hurt like mad. Ian Patterson came to take a look. That's a good one, he said. You might need stitches. Stitches! I stopped crying. The laughter celebrity got me to my feet. I hobbled heroically up the lane, flanked by an admiring entourage. At home there was a black mark on Mum's brow and a smell of burning. Was there a bomb, I said, thinking maybe it was just a really wee one. But she said it was just the fire had smoked when she was lighting it. It's not deep, she said in my skin knee, but it's awful big. After tea time, she and Dad took turns at picking out the black bits and dabbing it with Dettol. My sister said it was gross. She was going to the pictures to see the young ones. When she came to bed, I was awake and crying. She hugged me, said the picture was really good, and she would take me to see it on Saturday. Things were looking up. And next day, Mr. Kennedy was making things up with Mr. Khrushchev, just like Miss Webster had said. I didn't have stitches, but my leg was stiff. I had a limp, and the biggest plaster from the box of assorted plasters kept on the top shelf. In the playground, I peeled back the edge so that people could look under it and make ugh noises. The scab was going to be massive. Fiona Rennie hung back at the edge of the crowd. Carol said she'd been behind us going up the lane and probably gave me the push that sent me flying. But I didn't think so. She sidled up. Does it hurt? She said. A bit. Even as she pushed me, I didn't mind. I peeled back the dressing again for her to see. The world hadn't ended. Nobody we knew had died. And I was going to the pictures on Saturday.